Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I'm excited about my next guest. I have Richard here. We actually connected, yes, again on Clubhouse. I am loving Clubhouse. It is great for connections, and I'm excited about this interview. I was intrigued because of his handle, the Sidewalk Librarian. So we will get into some of that here shortly. But before we get started, I want to give Richard the opportunity to introduce himself.
Good morning. Thank you. Let's see. I'm Richard Ashby Jr. I'm the past president of the New York State Black Librarians Caucus. I'm the immediate past president of the Black Caucus of the American Library Association. I'm the co-founder and vice president of the Pennsylvania Black Librarians Caucus. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Literacy Nation Incorporated, a 501c3, where our motto is with liberty, literacy, and justice for all. Because we all know in America, you could have a liberty you think you have, but without literacy, you will receive no justice. And I am the current director of Little Rock Public Library, beautiful downtown blocks, otherwise known as the suburbs of Pittsburgh. Thank you for having
Love that. Yeah, well, I had to move around. My thing is saying battery low. So you never know what to expect here with
me.
America's Supermom. Okay, we just roll with it. I'm loving the whole thing about the librarian. So tell me how you got started with that. I guess the first thing I would ask is many people assume that people of our race are not readers. So talk to me about how you got into being affiliated with books and the library.
So, um, as often as hard-headed little boys are, God has to talk to you several times before you hear it.
Mhm.
So when I was a teenager, I had a best friend that stayed in the library. I grew up in New York City, and Chucky
Mhm.
would go to the library every Friday night. Chucky would go to the library, and I was off to the parties, to hanging out. And I used to tease Chucky so bad about being a nerd and going to the library, and I just could not imagine what someone would be doing in the library on a Friday night, just beyond my comprehension. And my mom said to me, I was about 15, 16, and she said, you hate libraries so much, you talk about Chucky so much, you're going to be a librarian when you grow up. I thought this lady had lost her cotton picking mind. I tell her that. I was like, a librarian? That was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then when got to college, I was doing work study,
Mhm.
and I did work study in the library, which was, and they had a black director there. I had never even seen a black man as a librarian. Less more director, Mr.
Mhm.
Black man who was the director at the library in New York Institute of Technology on Long Island. So that kind of stuck with me for a little bit. And then later on, I started writing my own books and illustrating my own little children's books. And a friend of mine, she took me out to her hometown on Long Island, and the man, the director of that library was a black man.
Wow.
Wow! And so years later, I went to work for him. He called me up and said he needed a security guard at his library. Security guard at a library? A bachelor of science in political science. I'm gonna I'm gonna be a Baptist minister and a and a congressman. Not being no librarian. These people are crazy. And so one of the members of the community said, "Well, they need a security guard at the new library. It's going to open up next week, and they need a security guard, and they need someone with your personality that's not going to be hard and going to be kind and just try to keep the kids in order." So I became a security guard at the library, and it was a brand new library. It was only him, myself, and another lady in the building. So he let me run the children's section, then he put me in the teen section, then he put me in acquisitions, then he put me behind the front desk, and this went on for 15 years until he got ready to retire. And then he said, you've been here 15 years, and I'm getting ready to retire, and all the librarians and people in the building are white. There's no black people in the building, so I'm going to give you a new position. It doesn't mean anything. It has no power, but I'm going to give you a title just to try to keep them off you. And he made me supervisor of the pages, supervisor of people who put away books, and it was only me putting away the books, so I was supervising stuff.
I
And
love that.
and then one February. And so there was a lady in the building, Miss Diggs. She was one of the original trustees, and she always was in the building because she purchased the books. And so one February afternoon, a fight broke out in the library between two kids, a young man and a young lady. And the librarian went over to break it up. Two little black kids. She was in the black community, and she could not get these kids to stop fighting. So I went over and I pulled Jamisha and the young man apart, and I was like, "What are you guys fighting for?" And Jamisha said, "He called me a name." And I said, "Well, what do you call her?" And he looked horrified. He wouldn't say who was. And I said, "Stop crying, Jamisha." "No, he called me a name." And I said, "What did you call her?" And he said, "I called her a Negro." And I said, "Well, why would you call her a Negro?" He said, "Because right here in the book, he said, Dr. King and the other Negroes marched. And she looks like the people in the book. So do I." So I said, "Oh, stop crying, Jamisha. I was a Negro." And she said, "You were?" I said, "Yeah, I was a Negro." She said, "When?" I said, "About 1968, 69. And she said, "What are you now?" I said, "I'm African American. I'm black. It depends. I don't, I said, and I don't know what you'll be called when you get older." I said, "We've been called a lot of other things." I said, "But what they call you, it doesn't make a difference. It's who you are." Just then the white librarian said, "You can't tell them that." I said, "Why not? Have you ever been a Negro?" "What do you mean I can't tell them that?" You've never been a Negro." And she said, "Get off the floor. Get off the floor now." So she made me leave the floor, and I went in the back to see Miss Diggs, and I told Miss Diggs what happened. And Miss Diggs says, "Get out of my office." And she was like a mom to me. And I welled up with tears. I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm telling you what they did to me on the floor." She said, "Get out of my office." She said, "For 15 years plus, all you did was complain about the white librarians. They don't put the books, they don't have books of diversity on the shelves. They don't have diverse programs. At 5 o'clock, they get in their car and they almost run people over getting out of the neighborhood." She said, "What have you done for 15 years but complain? Don't come back to me again unless you have something positive to say." I was heartbroken. I was like, "Oh my God. I just got told off by the white folks and now the black folks is telling me off." And so the next day I was at work and I was sitting at the front desk, and Mrs. Cochran came in, and she had a horrible fire. Her face, she was distorted. But once you got to know Miss Cochran, you didn't see that. Her heart. And she was from the Antioch Baptist Church. And "Richard, I heard what happened in here yesterday." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Here, we have this check for you from the church for $100. It's seed money for you to go back to school. Now, we know $100 ain't going to get you in the door, but this is just $100 saying we believe in you and we need a black librarian in the community." About an hour later, Mr. Wallace came in for the Community Development Corporation. He said, I heard Miss Cochran came and gave you $100 from Antioch Church." I said, he said, "Well, I'm going to give you $100 from CDC. Not going to do nothing, but we letting you know we believe in you and we're seeding into you." And I went back to school and became a librarian at the age of 50, I think I was.
Wow.
Received my master's degree. And so when I went to school, I wanted to be a library director. And they said, literally, "Mr. Ashby," and it was, I hadn't been in school like 30 years maybe. So the GEDs barely passed, not the GEDs, the GRA, whatever the test is.
Right.
Failed it miserably. Failed it. I ain't been in school in 100 years. And so the dean called me into the office, the admissions department called me in, and they said, "You didn't pass. You didn't pass. You can't get in." So I said, "Well, I need to be a librarian for my community." They said, "Okay, we'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put you in school. We're going to put you on probation. And you have to maintain a 4.0. Okay, fine. So, and then they said, so what do you want to be? Then they really didn't want to put me into the school after I said this. They said, so what do you want to be? A public librarian, a school librarian, a media, an academic librarian? Do you want to be a special librarian? I said, no, I want to be a library director. And didn't have a director there. They said, no, Mr. Ashby, you can't go to school to become a library director. You have to have your professional degree 5 to 8 years before you become a director. And I literally said, oh, you don't know the God I serve.
Wow.
She's a Black woman. She said, oh, I know the God you serve. We're going to put you in school. Okay, fine. So they put me in school, and I maintained the 4.0 all the way through. Well, I got 1C. This Jewish lady, she just hated my guts. That's the only C I got. I received was a C. And when I graduated, about 3 months later, I was the director of a library.
Wow.
And I've been a director ever since. And the
That
lady who gave me the C, 1 month out of library school after graduation, I was on a panel discussion with her. It was on my panel discussion. And I just walked up and down that lady. I zoomed in on her, and I just walked up and down that woman. How dare you? She was like, you'll never be a librarian, and blah, blah, blah. So
wow.
that's how I became a librarian. And right after I became a librarian, I developed cancer. And the library I was in, they made me a director. And I was just so happy to be a director. They used to put these stacks of papers in front of me. And so one day my wife said, hey, Mr. Director, are you reading what you're signing? I was like, no. I've been knowing these people for 15, 20 years, He's like, you need to read what you're signing. Next month, when you start signing checks, I was like, who's he? Just sign it. Who are these checks for? I don't know these people. Just sign the paper. And I was like, I gave him some pushback, and that lasted for about a month because then I was unemployed.
Wow.
And about 3 weeks after I was unemployed, the state attorney general came in, swooped down on the building and said, you people is robbing the place. And I was so glad I was out there. Thank you, Jesus.
Wow.
And so now I'm unemployed. And black women is like, your brother, you gotta get a job. You gotta get a job. And I was like, I'm looking for a job. She's like, well, do anything. I was like, I can't do anything. She's like, why? I said, well, I'm a librarian. You had this degree all of 5 months, and all of a sudden you're a librarian. You can't get a job. I was like, no. So we started our own company called Literacy Nation. And long story short, we built a 5,000. We had 12 room, 5,000 books in this library in West Philadelphia. Came to work, and there was a bullet hole in the door. And she said, "Okay, you have to close this library up because this is a bad neighborhood." And I was and so when I get home tonight, I want a new haul truck in front of this building with everything in it. We got to go. And so that when she left, God said, "You ain't got to listen to her." I said, "God, you don't know. You ain't got to listen to her." And God said, "Put the library on the sidewalk." So I put a couple of tables out, one with new books for kids, one with used books, another 2 tables with 4 laptops on it, and my chair and my little folding table and a milk crates behind me with some ready reference in it. And I said, I'm gonna do the library on the sidewalk. And my wife come home that night and she said, "What's going on? Why you got the books on the side? What's going on?" I said, "No, God said I'm the sidewalk librarian."
Wow.
And she said, "Whoa, that's deep, sidewalk librarian." And I became the sidewalk librarian, and I started putting libraries on street corners in bad neighborhoods.
Wow.
And the brothers would come out, and I put it in the morning, they would come out and they was like, yo, what you doing? I said, yo, I'm slinging books. What you slinging?
Wow.
They're like, what? I'm a librarian. What black guy want to be a librarian? I said, me. you know. And by the end of the day, because they're nephews and kids and everybody's coming out and I'm giving them free books, who's going to beat up a guy giving your little brothers and sisters free?
Yeah.
And so by the end of the day, we've been having conversations and story, and then I give them my card, and they're like, "Whoa, this is you?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You need to get off the corner and get a job, man. We didn't get no references. How are we gonna get a job?" I said, "You have a reference now. Help me pack up my library, and you work for me." They would help me pack up the library, and then I would say, "Take this card and go get a job." And so every now and then I get a call. "Hey, you know Jamal Thompson?" "Yeah, Jamal is a nice guy. He ever worked for you?" "Yes, he did." "How'd he work?" He was on time because he didn't have no time, so he was on. Showed up, he was on time. And they was like, okay. And then I would get a call. "Yo, Mr. Rich, I got the job. I was like, keep,
Mhm.
because you got to account for the money in your pocket. When the man stopped you, you can't have no $300-400 in your pocket. you know.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's what I do, because so many times we get in positions and we afraid that if I give somebody a resume, a reference to something, it's
Mhm.
gonna look bad on me. But what God gives me, nobody can take away.
Amen.
And so that's what I do. I just try to help everybody, because God, somebody prayed for me, got down on their knees, took their time and prayed for me. And so when I can help anybody, that's what I do.
I love that. And this is just such a blessing. I want to go back to being a reference because so many people have that fear of, it's going to be bad on me. So explain to somebody watching how you can have that assurance of not attaching or feeling attached to somebody in their reference, because I think that's a big one. A lot of times they say in our community that we just have a hard time looking out and helping one another. So for you to kind of have that mindset, that is very often different than what many people hear. So can you explain a little bit more about that concept?
So you have to believe that God put you in a position, and only if God put you there, no one can take it away from you. You have to believe that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You have to believe that, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil. You have to believe. You have to believe that God put you here. God take you. God can keep you there. He opened doors that no man can open, and shut doors that no man can open. However that goes.
Yeah, I love that. I
God
mean, I think that is great.
God
Yeah.
has, you have to believe in it. And then,
Mhm.
you get the white guys and other ethnic groups, and then, hey, yeah, that's my nephew. Hire him. Boom, you see the guy working. And
Mhm.
that guy, well, man, I can't really give you a reference. I just got this job myself, man. You may mess up. Come on.
Mhm. I love that because I think that is very powerful because a lot of people struggle with that. They struggle with knowing how to help somebody. And for you to have that mindset, I mean, I feel the same way. But for many people in our community, that is the thing that kind of holds them back. That idea and mindset that, what another person does is a reflection of them or the fear that they're going to lose something. But I love the fact that you say, for one, God didn't give you the position. I mean, God gave you the position that you have, not man. So that is very powerful. So I love what can you tell people that are watching about libraries and just education when it comes to reading and everything that a lot of people don't really think about, or their misconception about libraries or whatever? What has really impacted you, during your journey in being a librarian?
Um, the fact that I see young people coming into the library, I see older people coming into the library, looking for knowledge. One of the things that I love about the library is that you can find anything, anywhere that you want to find out in the library. If it's not there, they can get it sent to the library. One of the
Mhm.
things I do with my young people is I play a game. I put out like a prize, something that everybody wants,
Mhm.
whatever it is. Back in the day, it was a Kindle. What I get, $50 gift cards. I get three $50 gift cards, four $50 gift cards. I get all the kids together. I said, we're gonna have a contest. Get teams together. Now you know how kids are. All the hip kids get in one little group, and all the so-called little nerds are left on the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I already know who's gonna win. I already know the nerds are gonna win, even though the hip kids are smart too. So I said, okay, now we're gonna have a contest. You're gonna be able to use the computer, and you're gonna have to use books and the dictionaries. Right away, the hip kids, we want the computers. We want the computers. Okay, you got the computers, and the little so-called nerdy kids is on the side. You know, like we don't have the computers. Y'all just hang out for a second. Mr. Rich got this. Okay, I want you to look up elevator. Tell me all you can. Tell me about elevators, and tell me everything you see on the way to looking up elevator. All the information. Look, little smart kids, the hip kids, run to the computer, Google elevator. Boom, I got it. All right, elevator. Okay, yeah, y'all got it first, but that wasn't the contest. I'll tell you. Tell me what you see. The nerdy kids look at the dictionary. Escalator, everything with E in it. Elephant. Oh, we see escalator, we see elephant, we see so now they got a list of stuff that they saw. And so I said, well, they won. Why? Because they saw more by going through the book than they did on the computer. Right now, since they went through the book, they got escalator in their mind, they got elevation in their mind, they got all these things that they saw. So when you go to the computer and you Google it, that's like me taking you to California and blindfolding you. Blindfolding one person and keeping one person with unblindfolded. When we get to California, you've not seen Detroit, you've seen Salt Lake City, you've seen all these cities, and now you're in California and you took all that in. But
wow.
I took you to California, you don't see nothing but New York, and then you see California. You missed everything in between. And that's what Google does to you. You miss everything in between when you don't look at the book or dictionary. And they're like, whoa. And I said, and so these kids get the prize.
Wow.
And that stick with them. And so now sometimes I would see the kids, and a lot of people say, we don't have encyclopedias in the library. We do have encyclopedias because I want these kids to look it up. When I was a kid, you say, Mama, how do you spell something? Look it up.
Right.
Now, and they told us to look it up because they couldn't spell it themselves.
Exactly. I had the same issue. I love that. That's amazing. I think that's a very powerful illustration. So I think that is wonderful. So, what we right now have this whole pandemic aftermath. We've got some kids that are remote learning, some kids that are in school. It's some that are in hybrid model, all centered around, trying to navigate through the way things used to be with a different mindset about trying to be safe and everything. And to me, I have 7 kids that are going through remote learning right now. I feel like there is an element of the emotional intelligence not being addressed. So with all that you've experienced in terms of being with people, seeking knowledge and education, what do you think would be a good remedy for next year for these kids as they return back to school in terms of trying to foster a healthy mindset about coming back to life the way it's somewhat used to be, to where it's going, in a way that helps them to kind of be more, I don't know, impactful with their education, but kind of having that balance with the emotional side. What would be your recommendation after seeing the transformations you've witnessed with people just with learning?
I don't think that we could put our kids back in this classroom and sit them behind that desk and go back to business as usual. I think we may need that open class when they made the model as an open class model,
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to do. I think we need to give the kids more freedom of expression, more freedom throughout the day. I don't know that
Mm-hmm.
that role sitting in the role may not be conducive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're looking at the back of somebody's head. There, I think our kids need. I would love to see a horseshoe. I would love to see
Wow.
horseshoe. So now we're looking at each other. I'm not looking at the back of this person's head. Now we're connecting and we're interacting, and that teacher's up front. And instead of looking at the back of everybody's head, because I didn't see you so long, I don't want to see the back of your head. I think we have
Right.
a whole model of the classroom to 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 combat some of this emptiness, this
Mm-hmm.
disconnect that we have. And I would love to see classrooms in horseshoes now
I
instead of
love that.
the row.
That's amazing. That is awesome. So, I have been very active a lot of times with libraries and doing community events and, having workshops. So, what are some ways that people who are not really familiar with fostering relationships with libraries, now that people have been in this reflective state, some ways that they can begin their journey of connecting and educating the youth and even adults through the library setting?
So I have to be totally honest with you. Most libraries are run by people who are not black. And so a
Mm,
lot of times you're going to go into a library and come up with a proposal and they're going to look at you cross-eyed.
mm,
So my suggestion would be to join the Black Caucus in your community
mm-hmm.
state. And then if you have ideas that you want to be done, perhaps that Black Caucus could help you because now you have Black librarians in the Black Caucus, and you'll connect with a Black librarian, and then you'll be able to say, I want to see this program, I want to see that program, and then those librarians would probably buy into your program and help you make that program come to fruition. But if you go into a library cold turkey, sometimes it's gonna be like, because we're not accepted like that, and especially now. But if you join it's a BCALA, the Black Caucus of the American Library Association, bcala.org. You go on that
Mm-hmm.
page, and it'll tell you all the other affiliates in your state.
Mm,
Colorado, New Jersey, Connecticut, out in California. So there's a Black Caucus someplace. And if there's not one in your state, seek out a Black librarian. But if you join the
wow.
Black Caucus, you will you join the Black Caucus, excuse me, you will then know all the librarians, more than 90% of the Black librarians in the country. You will
Wow.
you will see, you say, oh, I'm in Indiana. In Indiana, you have Michelle Hayes, you have Michelle Fenton, you have
Mm,
Josh Holman. You have a lot of wonderful Black librarians in Indiana.
mm.
And they have a strong Indiana Libraries Association, Black Caucus, Indiana Black Librarians in Indiana. And so
I
I
love that. Now, so, what are some things that a lot of people don't know about being an author and being affiliated with the library? Do you just, if you have a copy of your book, do you just take it to the physical location? What are some ways that authors don't realize that they can, I want to say maybe infiltrate or whatever the library system, and what benefits are there for that?
that is the hardest thing. That's like getting a camel through the eye of a needle.
Wow.
Because especially if you're African American, a librarian of author of color, to get your book into a library, it has to be reviewed, Kirkus reviewed, and a lot of other reviews. If it's not published by a major publishing house, probably won't get. It's hard to get into a library. And we have distributors like Follett and Baker and Taylor and Ingram. They get the books from the major publishers, and then it gets into a library. So it's really difficult to get the book into a library. That's why I do what I do. That's why I take published authors, and I put their books into the library. I catalog them just like any other book will be cataloged, just like a James Patterson book will be cataloged. I catalog your book the same way. Just like James Patterson book can be found anywhere in the world. Once I catalog the book, it can be found anywhere in the world. And so that's what I do. As long as and so then libraries have, what people don't know is a collection and development policy. So that policy says what books will go in the library and what can't go in the library. And most of the time, those policies do not say, they don't say self-published can't be in, but they give you all these rules that you have to, all these earmarks, benchmarks that the book has to have to get into the library. It's like the Voting Rights Act. They have all to do so you can, before you can vote, you have to have ID. You have to be able to do this and do this and this, and then you can't vote. Back in the day, so that's how collection and development policies are. They have all these things that you have to, these earmarks that you have to reach, these benchmarks you have to reach to get your book into the library. I'm just so blessed that every library I've ever worked at, I've had the opportunity to write the policy. And I write the policy. I write my collection and development policy, and my collection and development policy says independent authors and publishers, we accept the books. We make that part of our collection as community engagement. We have the pandemic and everybody's sitting home. Everybody's a writer. So now, if everybody's a writer, great. I take your book. And some books I get excellent books. Some books we don't even know is self-published. They're so wonderful. And some books, okay, that's fine. This person put their time into that book. Let me put it. So I have a self-published shelf. Office, and I put the books on the shelf. When people walk in, they can say, "Oh, these are self-published." So you know what you're getting. You can go to Macy's. You can go to, or you can go to Dollar Tree. But Dollar Tree, you find some good stuff.
This is true. Yeah.
So published shelf, you find some good stuff. Now the other day I had a camera crew from the news local camera crew was in the library. They had come to do a story, but the lady backed out. And so I said, that she wasn't. So they were walking out. I said, wait a minute, she ain't the only story in town. And he said, well, what's the other story? I said, me. He said, who are you?
Wow.
He said, who are you? And I told him I was. He's like, oh, okay. And I said, I'm the only Black library director in this county. He was like, okay, we heard about you. And so I said, look at my bookshelf. And he said, oh, it's kind of messy. I said, yeah. I said, but I'm not. I showed him the independent author bookshelf, and it was a mess. I said, but come over here. Look at James Patterson. Look at Kuntz. Look at Spielberg. And not Spielberg. I mean, look at Kuntz. Look at all the fiction and nonfiction. She said, this library is real neat, but those books over there is a mess. I said, when you go to a library and you see shelves that are a mess, that means people are looking at the books. When you see the shelves that are nice and neat, ain't nobody looking at those books.
Right, because they're staying in order.
My shelf over there, that's the independent author. The books is all over the place. And some are laying down, some over here. I said, we just sprayed the library up about this morning, 2 hours ago. I said, but now it's back like this again. I said, and when you came in here, there was 4 or 5 people at that shelf, right? He said, I was wondering what they were doing. I said, those are self-published authors. And so we give them a chance. We give everybody a chance. And then after a while, I ease some of those self-published books that go out the most. I ease them into the regular collection.
That's good. Now, so what do authors miss when it comes to being affiliated in the library? What are one of the benefits of being in that position?
Well, you're not going to get rich by having a book in the library per se, unless the book really hits big, and then everybody in town wants to buy it. But but what it is, it's an affirmation that you are an author. It's so like when you graduate high school, but then you go to college, you get a BA. A BA.
Love that.
It's your VA, and then you go
Hmm.
do whatever you can with it. And so we put the book in the library. Now you get to call a library and ask for your book, and you get to have your mother in Tuscaloosa call up and ask for the book, and they say we don't have it. Say we'll go to do an interlibrary loan. It's in Pennsylvania, and they'll look in Pennsylvania. Oh, there's 5 people are waiting on that book. Maybe this book is good. Maybe we should just go ahead and get it. So you can say, can you get the book for me? Can you purchase the book for the library? And they would usually purchase the book for the library.
Love that. And this has just been a great conversation. I mean, definitely very informative, and love your ability to captivate us with your story. So I think it's amazing. What are some ways that we can help you as viewers about, the role that you play, and, in educating and keeping the momentum when it comes to what you've accomplished thus far?
Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Join Clubhouse. If you know any authors, send them my way. And so what I was doing was people were sending me their books for free.
Mm-hmm.
I catalog them, and then sometime I go on Clubhouse and I say, okay, everybody in the room tonight, if you sent me a book for free, send me an invoice, and I'll pay for the book. And then one night I said, I need a children, a young adult author. The lady said, I'm a young adult author, and I said, okay, I'm gonna buy a box of books from you. And I feel like Oprah, and you're gonna get a car, and you're gonna get a car, and you're gonna get a car.
Amen. Amen. I love that.
And so I try to purchase as many books as I can, and when I can't, I say, send me the book, and I'll catalog it. And then if down the road I find some money, I'll say, okay, everybody who sent me a book, send me an invoice so I can pay you for the book.
Awesome. Well, I just love this. And I'm so glad that we got acquainted. I have several authors, including myself. So I definitely will be sending a lot of them your way. What
When you send the book, can you send a chicken sandwich too?
I know that's right. I definitely can send you a gift card. Now, do
No,
you got that way you can get your own? Because hey, from where I'm traveling, I don't know if you want that chicken by the time it gets there, right?
no, I do this totally free of charge. I do it free of charge. Anybody who tell you they can, you pay them that they can get your book in the library, you call their boss because they cheat.
Mhm.
It'll cost you nothing to get your book in the library. It costs you absolutely nothing. Never pay anyone to put your book into the library. That's a
Love that.
scam.
Wow.
And
That's
never let anyone tell you that you need a Library of Congress number to get your book into a library. That's another scam.
wow. This is great. Yeah, this is amazing. Well, I am so glad that we connected. And again, I have several people I'm going to be sending your way, and definitely forwarding a copy of this interview, because I think, a video is worth 1,000 words. They can hear directly from you what it is that you provide and how you can help them. So, what are your final words that you would share with everybody today?
Write, keep on writing. The more you write, the better you become. Read, keep on reading. The more you read, the better you become. Live and love. The more you live, the more you love, the happier you'll be.
Love that. That is amazing. Well, thank you so much, Richard, for coming today. We want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, reach out to Richard. If you still feel compelled to ask questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll be sure to get them to him. And in the meantime, we just want to thank you for joining us today and spending a little time with us. Hope you were taking notes, because he dropped some great gems. And we want to end this episode with a mantra of mine: is a life without excuses is a mindset for greatness. Don't let excuses stop you from being a better version of you. Keep moving and forging ahead to be that best version, and keep persevering. So thank you again, Richard, for joining us today.
Thank you for letting me be myself again, in the words of Sly Stone.
Awesome. Well, you guys all have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.